They wrote it in the laws. Ink still bleeds, treating women like soil, just planting the seeds. She's gone brain fake, say it's God's will, say it's life they protect, but they ain't the ones feeling pain or neglect. From Texas to Georgia, they set the trap. Rights roll back while they smile and clap. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey mega fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. This ain't pro-life, it's control and shame. They don't care if she's gone, just playing a game. Keep her hooked to machines, cold and still, just a vessel to them, not a human with will. No consent, no voice, no chance to resist. Just laws in place, written with a clenched fist. Hospitals scared, judges playing God. Bodies ain't temples, just state-owned pods. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey mega fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Bands in the dark, they don't care who it kills. Sacking courts while they strip out all of your wills. But we'll fight back, march loud, burn bright, cause this ain't the end, it's the start of the fight. Gilead's here, ain't no grace, and those leopards are coming to eat your face. So I'm gonna see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator.
He said nobody who healthcare could be so complicated. The Obamacare debate was 6 months litigated. Years of med school debt got capitalized. Insurance claim forms so high they nearly capsized. But he wouldn't know the frustration of trying to get prior authorization. Everybody knew, the whole world knew, the doctors, the lawyers, the CBO crew. Oh, 30,000 pages of ready review. It wasn't a big secret, we knew. Don't realize Obama deported, but the porter-in-chief is what La Raza retorted. Obama went after the violent folks and felons, drunk nabbed the dishwashers and people picking melons. But Donald's argument shows that he's not very bright. If Obama made some wrongs, two wrongs don't make a right. We knew. He asked who knew a virus could be so contagious. Virologist blinked at someone so outrageous. He was surprised at how many countries existed that distant. No wonder when the virus spread, either one who missed it spread a map, slit red in every deadly hue. World Health Memo said we already knew. Everybody knew. Oh, the whole world knew. Oh, the lab coats, the leaders, and we were with the flu. Oh, the nations of the world, more than 192. It wasn't a big secret. We knew. You unveil oxygen like contraband air. Right 6 there. You sat down, claiming scrambling to discover chess. War called money was his big surprise. Iraq has oil, can you believe your eyes? He said, we are divided, a surprise to no one thinking. And he was most surprised a Republican was Lincoln. Everybody knew, the world knew, the Christians, the Muslims, atheists, and the Jews. Like being shot, they have animals at the zoo. It wasn't a big secret. We knew, everybody knew, everybody knew, everybody knew, everybody knew.
Gather round, everyone, and I'll tell you a tale about an orange-faced buffoon who should be in a jail. When people say he's done something that goes beyond the pale, he will shake his head and give this answer without fail. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he says he tells no lies and that he never jokes. Confronting with the truth, they'll say it's all a hoax. A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills. A hoax, he said it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, changing a storm path with black marker strokes. Confronted with the truth, they say it's all a hoax. Casting mail-in ballots is something that he's done. Now he wants to ban them for each and every one. He claims it's for integrity in each election, but he won't believe the results unless it's him that's won. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, they'll fool you with distractions like real sugar in Cokes. Confronting with the truth, you'll say it's all a hoax. He promised to release all the Epstein files that caused all the MAGA base to react with smiles. But how long has he put it off? It sure has been a while, and now he's calling this a hoax, protecting pedophiles. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he'll keep on gaslighting up until he croaks. Confronted with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax.
patriotism when Donald's to blame. Had Biden done it, I don't flip. Had Biden done it, more numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, bitch out no way. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
A self-proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. Faux patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated. Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, the animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water. They're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, the animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. Unmasking hypocrisy, the truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. 'Cause Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, the animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right.
And welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you live from New Orleans, Louisiana. To join the conversation, just join us in the chat room, either on YouTube or on Twitch. Over on Twitch, we got Aaron or Villaby and 9 Inch Toenails. Good to see all of y'all over there. We got Aaron also over there on YouTube, along with JD Christie, Steve from across the pond.
It's no Scottish, it's crap.
Let's see, Bald Thanos, Molly, JD Christie. Did I say that one already? I don't know. Jeff's here. Suzanne's here. Thank you all very much. Let's see. Bald Thanos is trying to make himself lower his blood pressure by increasing his potassium levels. Kazakhstan, apparently, according to Borat, has superior potassium. He had avocados yesterday. Of course, reminds me of one of my jokes that I've heard that I like. How many of those are in a guacamole? Avocados number. And hello, Belfast Bob, as well. Good to see you as well. And Catherine, good to see you. Doobie-doobie-doo. Thank you so much for joining. Let's see, 13 viewers, 9 likes. Let's make sure to smash that like button if you have not already done so. Aaron is allergic to avocados. I did a Walmart order just for pickup or whatever, and I got 2 random avocados in my bag, which I guess makes up for the fact that they didn't give me taco seasoning the last time. So So I guess it all worked out in the end. I actually do like avocados, and we can talk about what some people think avocados taste like, but we'll do that on Liberal Dan After Dark. So don't say it in the chat, because, I don't want this all to go bleh. Let's see, we got several things to talk about today, and we are going to open up the phone lines today as well. I did have one topic that I wanted to talk about, but apparently it was it's older. Like, for some reason, it's going around social media, but it's like an old story from 2025, and there's so much new bullshit to deal with. Old bullshit, Let's see. Wait, Hal had death threats earlier. He lost audio. Are you making a joke that he had death threats because he lost audio? Is that the joke? Or did you just type that wrong? I hope he didn't have the other types of threats. Good to see you, Jackie. Who else did I miss? There was, I think, somebody else who came in afterwards. Maybe not. I don't know, but again, good to see you, Jackie. A little thirsty. Did I mention that I did? I think I mentioned the other day that I had started my medicine again, and that I was punished for it for a little overeating that I did, and got the sulfur burps already. So it's already kicking right back in. So, which is good. So hopefully I'll be back on the weight loss, and maybe after a couple of months after not being on it, it'll shock my system and I'll start losing a bunch of weight again. I don't know. Hey James, good to see you. Still waiting to see Bald Thanos' response, because if it's the joke, good joke. If it's not a joke and it was a typo, oi. I was wondering why Hal ended early though, simply because I was like, is Hal not on right now? Because usually this is the day that he absolutely will raid me. And I was like, streamed 1 minute ago. I was like, God damn it, I missed it. And I was gonna actually start playing. I was going to start it early in case, because I had my stuff mostly prepared for the show, and I was going to start playing it early and start streaming early just in case Hal ended early, but he ended way too early. So, hey Christina, good to see you. Mad Mac, good to see you as well. And Visantha. I really would love to be able to have some conservatives calling in and just not be dicks. Like, we've had conservatives call in and just, start screaming out the N-word. We've had people call in and just being trolls or whatever. I would like to have some conservative debates at some point again. We will see if that happens. I don't know. But of course, everybody will be welcome to call in when I do open up the phone lines. So, let's see. Am I missing anything else? So let's go ahead and move my windows back around again. And we are going to start today with executive orders from Donald Trump that were within the last week. So this one is the executive order establishing the President's Military Spouse Commission. Now, see, if I was wording this, I wouldn't have worded it that way. First of all, I would have worded it the President's Commission on Military Spouses, because to me it kind of sounds like he wants to have the military spouses. Like, I don't know. It just seems like there would be a better way to word it. What is he going to take all the military spouses and grab them by the hoo-hoos or the hoo-has or whatever, their personal private areas? Who knows with him, right? So, and here's the other thing that I saw before we actually start reading the words, and actually where it gets a little weird, is that I'm very disappointed in, we have AI, we have artificial intelligence. And you can fake Donald Trump's voice if you need. I mean, you can even do whatever, but you can have artificial intelligence take a script and speak something like it was Donald Trump, right? So if I click to listen to the words that are here in the executive order, it's not Donald Trump's voice.
By the President of the United States of America, Proclamation 1. Section 338 of the Tariff Act of 1930, 19 U.S.C. 1338. Section 338. Empowers the president to, among other things, impose duties on imports of a foreign country.
Okay, and not only did they not put it in Trump's voice, but they have the wrong audio, they have the wrong text. This is the wrong text. This is the establishing President's Military Spouse Commission. It has nothing on tariffs, but again...
By the President of the United States of America, Proclamation 1. Section 338 of the Tariff Act of 1930, 19 U.S.C. 1338. Section 338 empowers the president to, among other things, impose duties on imports.
They can't even get this right. This is how inept this. I had listened to like the first 2 seconds of it and didn't even listen to the content because I was just like, man, I'm disappointed. I would have liked it to have been in Donald Trump's voice so I could mock it. But now I get to mock it even more because the audio doesn't match the page. Like, holy crap, how bad are these people? They are so dumb. So anyway, military spouses are intrinsically linked to the good order, readiness, and retention of our military. I'm frankly surprised, though, that the language is gender neutral, and they're not just defaulting it and calling it the Military Wives Commission or something like that, and not just military spouses. So they haven't completely, I guess that since they haven't completely eliminated all the women from the military yet under Hegseth's sexist rule, I guess they have to just say spouses because there are husbands that are military spouses, but still, we all know that's the end goal of this white supremacist and male supremacist patriarchal administration, right? So frequent relocations and a long absence of service members, especially when developed into combat zones, can negatively impact military spouses' quality of life and in turn that of their family. So I'm going to pass a bill that I'm going to stop in to see all the single ones when their husbands are overseas and give them some of the good Trump loving. Anyway, let's see. The repeated relocations and other aspects of military life may limit quality housing options, employment opportunities, and other resources available to families. Prolonged service member absences also place enormous burdens on military spouses running households alone. Blah, blah, blah. What happened to his first term? Blah, blah, blah. Section 2, Establishment and Composition of the President's Military Spouse Commission. There is hereby established the President's Military Spouse Commission. Commission, I don't know why. Is it a commission so nice they had to say it twice? I don't know. The spouse of the Secretary of War shall serve as chair. Why? Like, the spouse of the Secretary of War is not currently, and probably has not been for a very long time, but actually we should call it the Secretary of Defense because that's what it really is. But Donald Trump calls it the Secretary of War because, he's a warmonger, among other types of mongers that rhyme with that too. Not that we should give, we don't slut shame on the show, but still. So this is just nepotism. This is just, I'm going to give family members of people in my administration a job. So is he going to just now all of the families of the people who he appoints to be in charge of the military are going to get double their salary or at least double dipping and getting additional salary just because they're married, regardless of what qualifications they might have to serve as executive director of anything in this administration, including this? Now, granted, Hegseth did serve in the past, and perhaps although Hegseth's on what wife now? Am I confusing Hegseth? When did he get married, and how long was he married to this wife? And was he in active duty when this wife was ever? Let's search that up because I just thought of that literally just now. So, when did Pete Hegseth marry his current wife? And I don't even have to finish it. It finished it for me. Married current wife Jennifer Roche on August 16th, 2019. And then when did Pete Hegseth stop being an active duty service member? Active duty service member. Left active duty in 2021, later separated from the Army National Guard to Infantry Ready in 2024. So let's see, 2015, 2019, rejoined the act. So he was in the National Guard in 2019, stepped down from active National Guard duty after being removed from Joe Biden's inauguration security detail over concern regarding his tattoos. Officially separated from military service in January 2024. So not much. So they were not. He wasn't active duty much during their marriage. Let's just put it that way. Most of his active duty took place before he got married to his current spouse. So there's that, which is Just the fact that he got removed from Biden's security detail because of tattoos is just makes sense, clearly. But again, if the spouse of the Secretary of War is unable to serve as chair for any reason, the executive director shall perform the duties of the chair until the president designates a new chair. In addition to the chair, the commission membership shall include the spouses of following senior military leaders, if applicable: Secretary of the Army, of the Navy, of the Air Force, Good word. I have the best words. Nobody has better words. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Chief Staff of the Army, the Commandant of the Marine Corps, the Chief of Naval Operations, the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, Chief of Space Operations, Chief of National Guard Bureau, Commandant of the Coast Guard, Sergeant Major of the Army, Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, the Chief Master Sergeant of the Space Force, Senior Enlisted Advisor to the Chief of the National Guard Bureau, yada, 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 a bunch of people, and the Secretary of Homeland Security, and other individuals that the chair or executive director may from time to time invite to participate. Members of the commission shall serve contingent to the duration of their spouse serving in or performing the duties of the role described in subsections B or C of this section. The commission shall advise and assist the president on policies affecting military spouses and families, including monitoring the implementation of the order, liaising with military spouses to determine common areas of concern, developing policies that address challenges faced by military spouses. Now, look, I'm not going to begrudge the idea that they need to, that they should be taking into consideration military spouses. Generally speaking, the idea of having a commission on military spouses and making sure that the families that have at least one person serving in the military are being better taken care of than we have been for a very long time, I have no problem with that general idea. I'm questioning whether or not, getting people from the higher ups is really going to be the best thing and you're going to get the best results. You probably should get people from lower down the ranks, active duty members, like people who are, spouses who are serving in combat roles now, for example, who are, dealing with it day to day, instead of people who are married to the people who sit behind a desk and don't go to war, right? A Trusted Every Game says, well, yeah, doesn't Trump think they're suckers and losers? I think he called the people in the military suckers and losers. I don't know if he called the spouses any names or whatever. But yeah, can you imagine if Biden called soldiers suckers and losers?
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip.
Fishing getting right. Atrocious at every game is apparently a masochist too, saying for some reason I subjected myself to 2 Young Turk videos spewing conspiracy theories about Dr. Fauci. Jesus Christ, they did jump the shark, but they keep jumping the shark. That's the issue. Oh, okay, so here we go. I guess I didn't read the whole thing. Members of the commission shall serve without compensation, but may receive travel reimbursement, including a per diem in lieu of subsistence, as allowed under applicable law. Department of Defense shall provide such funding and administrative and technical support as the commission may require. Commission may establish subcommittees as appropriate to aid work, yada, yada, yada. So, again, I'm not necessarily opposed to the idea of a, commission to deal with military spouses. It could potentially be a good thing, of course, considering the fact that this administration screws up everything that it touches, except for Donald Trump's wealth, apparently, and including the fact that they can't even get the audio right, because again, this audio that's supposed to be listened to, this audio is not the audio of the text.
By the President of the United States of America, Proclamation 1. Section 338 of the Tariff Act of 1930.
Not there. That again is just not. I shouldn't be surprised that they're this inept, but again, we should all be annoyed that they are this inept. Like, how? Test it. Put things into testing before putting it into production. Why was there no beta testing of this functionality? Like, probably because they got rid of all of the experts and hired, sycophants and bootlickers to replace them. Anyway, let's see. Luck Dragon, good to see you. Roxanne, good to see you as well. Let's see. Who else have I missed? Mach 7 radio intercepts. They're all assholes. Couldn't agree with you more. Trump's people fuck up not only because stupid, but because they don't care. What the fuck will anyone do about it? Well, we need to get out and fucking vote. That's what we need to do. Let's see. But here's the thing. Let's drop this page down. Oh, no, I don't want to do it that way. Yes, we want to do it this way because I still need this page open for other things. All right. Let's see. Tim. Good to see you, Tim. Hey, Christine as well. I love Trump's new wig. He has become a character of himself. Did he think no one would notice? We should set up a GoFundMe for Caitlin Collins to ask him about it and smile. Hilarious. Thank you for voting today in Florida. Appreciate you. Let's see. They could fuck up Donald Trump's wealth too. He just had to pay $5 million to E. Jean Carroll after he loses the next appeal. He'll have to pay to her another $88 million. But look, here's the thing. He's made billions. So to people who have made billions while president in this term, having to pay $88 million is nothing. Absolutely nothing. And we'll get into why he's going to be making probably money hand over fist from the financial areas because of his Truth Social bullshit as well. Yeah, he goes, it's a rounding error, to be honest, for him. And absolutely. He's just like, oops, 88 million, that's nothing anymore. I've made so much money in this presidency, it doesn't even matter. I can give more people 88 million. It was worth it to grab her by the hoo-ha. Anyway, so, fuck, ridiculous. Well, that wasn't enough for all women. Like, come on. So anyway, ending birth tour. I didn't even mean to do that. See, have this be open, I guess. But oh well, it's fine. Jake Tepper, want to report on this? You self-important, sycophantic, shameless excuse for a journalist. There's lots of people who are absolutely shameless excuse for journalists these days, but Jake Tapper takes the cake. Takes the snake, whatever. Other than that, I have no opinion. Fuck you, Snake Tapper. Snake Crapper. Should it be Snake Crapper instead of Snake Tapper? Anywho. So, Donald Trump, after failing at the Supreme Court and having his executive order, thrown away because the Supreme Court ruled that, birthright citizenship is a thing and is constitutional, Donald Trump now has an executive order saying that he wants to end birth tourism. Let's see, do they have this one right?
By the President of the United States of America, Proclamation 1. Section 338 of the...
Nope, it's the same audio for everything, apparently. So this link goes to everything instead of the page that it's on. Again, how inept are these programmers? Just come on, I could definitely do a better job. Not that I want to work for this administration. If you don't offer me a job, because I ain't taking it. Actually, I guess I would fix the web page for $1 million. How about that? Give me $1 million and I'll replace the web page. It's chump change for you, right? Again, by authority vested in me, President, and the Constitution. Actually, no, the Constitution does not give you the authority to do this. You do not have the authority to make this executive order if you're challenging birthright citizenship, because as we just recently learned, the Supreme Court said that you have birthright citizenship as a fact of constitutional law. Section 1, purpose. United States citizenship is among the greatest inheritances the nation can bestow. It embodies the sacred bond between the American people and the nation in which they live and carries profound rights, privileges, and responsibilities reflective of the enduring allegiance of citizens to the United States and our Constitution. Let's start with you, Donnie boy. Let's start with you showing allegiance to the United States or Constitution, because I see allegiance to yourself and to foreign powers. And to people who, will give you planes and shit. Citizenship is not a commodity to be acquired through calculated exploitation and evasion of the immigration laws, such as by entering the United States on a non-immigrant visa for the purposes of giving birth within the nation's borders. How do you prove that? How do you prove that? Birth tourism operators use deceptive advertisements and inducements to entice foreign nationals to travel to the United States for the purpose of giving birth on American soil. How often does this really happen? I mean, prove that it's a problem before having to write, pages on this and putting on a website that doesn't work right. They promise citizenship, access to public benefits, and short-term stays in specialized facilities, hotels, or rentals, but often fail to deliver on their promises. So now Donald Trump cares about these people who are being victimized? No, he doesn't give a shit about those people. He just doesn't want more brown people being born in the United States. That's the goal. That's his goal. Fewer brown people in the United States is what Donald Trump wants. These operators coach their clients to misrepresent the purpose and duration of the travel to consular and border officials to obtain visas, authorizing entry to the United States. Failure to appropriately combat these schemes has resulted in thriving industries around the world. How big are the industries? I mean, is this really a big problem that we have to deal with? Or is it just a manufactured one like everything else that's created by this administration, just to distract you from the fact that they haven't released the Epstein files and that they haven't, they've invaded Iran. The price of gasoline is skyrocketing. It might go up again if he feels like he has to, attack Iran again. The immigration laws of the United States establish discrete categories of temporary non-immigrant visas to allow foreign visitors in the United States for study, exchange, temporary employment, tourism, blah, 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 blah. Birth tourism defined in Section 3 of this order undermines the integrity of the nation's immigration system, yada, yada, yada. Section 2. Pursuant to Section 301, Title 3, United States Code, the authority granted to the President under Section 215 of the Immigration and Nationality Act is hereby delegated to the Secretary of State and Secretary of Homeland Security to the extent necessary to implement this order, including the authority to issue or adopt rules, policies, or operational guidance to any other guidance to carry out this order. Definition. For the purpose of this order, birth tourism is defined as the entry of any foreign national into the United States via non-immigrant visa for the purpose of giving birth on American soil, or any effort by any foreign national to facilitate the entry of any foreign national into the United States via non-immigrant visa for the purpose of giving birth on American soil. Let's see. Notwithstanding the restrictions imposed by this order, the Secretary of State or the Secretary of Homeland Security may exempt a foreign national from actions taken pursuant to this order on humanitarian grounds or when the foreign national's entry is in the national interest as determined by the Secretary of State or Secretary of Homeland Security, aka people from South Africa who are white or other white people who are coming to the country. They will make exceptions for them. They can't say that, but that's what they're doing here. They're making an exception so that if somebody who's white comes across the border and gives birth, they'll be like, all right, that's fine. We're okay with that as long as they're not brown. They were fine with that. Anyway, so, but here's the thing that Donald Trump doesn't get. Hell, children born in the United States to parents unlawfully or temporarily present are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States under citizens at birth under the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause. That's literally from the ruling. So you cannot say that these children are not citizens. They have to be considered citizens under the law, under the Constitution. So there you go. You can't get around this, Trump. You cannot get around this. I mean, clearly this Supreme Court refused to hear your request for them to rehear the case so that they will actually rule in your favor instead. So now he's just going to throw spaghetti at the wall to try and see what might hit. But here's the thing. When these conservatives throw spaghetti at the wall, they never even hit the wall. It just always ends up on the floor because they're just that dumb and that stupid at this. So yeah, you can't end birthright tourism because when somebody comes across, again, you don't know what the reason is. They might state one reason or whatever, but if they come in illegally, guess what? Or if they lie to the people who they're coming across the border, and having conversations with them to get the visas, guess what? Their kids are still citizens because the Constitution says so. We recorded that one just because, let's see. None of that makes any sense, says Christina. Exactly. See, I reject this court's jurisdiction. Court has no jurisdiction. I'm a living man. Trump possibly because he's a fucking idiot. Yeah. So you'd think the Young Turks would spend at least half as much time yelling about Trump being Epstein's wingman than they did about Fauci conspiracies. See, now I'm very tempted to go actually look at, the the Young Turks videos to kind of see what they're saying, simply because I'd love to react to it and show how stupid they are. Are you saying no, that I shouldn't go look at them atrocious? I'm not saying I'm going to do it live on the show. I just might want to take a peek-see and take a look. I don't want to subject you through it again, but maybe I don't even want to subject myself to it either. Yeah, and Christina, they held Fauci in contempt. That's ridiculous because somebody said on one of my posts, on one of the shorts that were created on the episode where I was talking about how, Hawley is a fucking idiot. He was like, Hawley's much smarter than you. And I was like, look, Hawley may be a well-educated attorney, but how does he not get that right? How does he not understand that the reason that Fauci's pleading the fifth is because federal pardons don't protect you from state prosecutions? So your whole thing of you're pardoned, so therefore you have no excuse is bullshit. And he, as an attorney, should know it's bullshit. He just is relying on the fact that his people who are listening to him, all of the conservative, the MAGA types, are going to be like, oh, that makes sense, and just parrot the bullshit as bullshit because they want to push propaganda on others and want to have people believe the lie. Right? So, but I was like, look, I went to college with somebody who was a mechanical engineering student. I think he had a 4.0 average. He was a great engineer, and all of his brain power went into engineering. Everything else that he does or did was just mind-numbingly stupid. Like, he was the clueless wonder. He was a brilliant engineer. Everything else, ugh. Remember Ben Carson, the brilliant brain surgeon who was put in charge of, like, the HUD or whatever? And he was completely inept. I had no idea what he was doing there. He had no idea what he was doing running a presidential campaign or running for president. He's used so much of his brain power to be one of the best brain surgeons, if not the best brain surgeon in the world, that he didn't have any room for anything else. I've worked with attorneys who may be amazing litigators. In fact, the firm that came into the firm, in my opinion, and poached all of those people out, one or two of those people who were in the poached group that caused the old law firm that I worked for to fold, were those types of people, where they were brilliant attorneys, great attorneys, clearly sought after because they brought them all over. But, like, when I tried to help them doing some, technical help and technical assistance in the scope where I can do it, I was surprised they even figured out how to turn on their computer. That's how otherwise dumb they were. Brilliant attorneys, dumb everywhere else. So absolutely, there are absolutely examples of people who might be educated in one area of study, but they've spent so much time on that where they just miss out on everything else in life. So that's what I would have to say. And I would really love to see more people just engaging with these conservative trolls just to get the views up. But, that's if you have the spoons or the wherewithal to deal with those guys or girls or whatever, those people who are responding to my post, absolutely, please do it. If you don't have the spoons to do it, if you can't tolerate them, I understand. Completely, I do. Sometimes I wish I didn't have to do any of the talking to the conservatives, but I need to because I want to keep doing this and keep fighting the Republican propaganda that's coming out. However, not to be outdone, we already talked about how Donald Trump wants to end birthright citizenship. But that wasn't the only executive order on birthright citizenship. There is now this presidential action executive order continuing to protect the meaning and value of American citizenship. I don't know how you can do that the best way? Resign. Resign from office. And you will absolutely increase the value of American citizenship because we will then no longer have you, Donald John Trump, as president of these United States. That's the best way that you can help contribute and add value to being an American citizen. Purpose, the privilege of United States citizenship. No, birthright citizenship is a right because it's called birthright citizenship. You have the right to be a citizen of these United States if you were born here and subject to our jurisdiction. So the United States citizenship remains a priceless and profound gift. Since my first day in office, my administration has guarded against the risks posed by malign foreign actors who attempt to swindle American citizens by taking advantage of the generosity of our nation. What bullshit. Who wrote that for him? That clearly didn't come out with it. Let's see. On June 30th, the Supreme Court decided in Trump versus Barbara that the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution extends the privilege of citizenship to children born to parents in the United States for whom no extraterritorial fiction applies. I mean, what they said was, children born in the United States to parents unlawfully or temporarily present are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and are citizens at birth under the 14th Amendment's Citizenship Clause. So there you go. This order identifies non-exhaustively and prescribes action concerning certain categories of children of aliens who do not fall within the rule of birthright citizenship as announced by the Supreme Court. Policy. It's the policy of the United States that no executive department or agency shall issue documents recognizing United States citizenship to or accept documents issued by state, local, or other governments or authorities purporting to recognize United States citizenship regarding persons when neither parent of that person is a citizen and any of the following applies. Either parent of that person is an alien enemy, defined to include any member of a designated foreign terrorist organization or specially designated global terrorist consistent with the International Emergency Economic Powers Act and Executive Order 13224 of September 23, 2001, blocking property and prohibiting transactions with persons who commit, threaten to commit, whatever as amended. So that's A. So if somebody is a parent, and that person is an alien enemy, that has nothing to do with the kid. Because if we can determine that they are an alien enemy and we can take actions against them, that means those people are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. And according to the, United Trump versus Barbara, children born in the United States to parents unlawfully or temporarily present are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and are citizens at birth under the 14th Amendment. So if we can determine them to be alien enemies and can prevent them from doing all sorts of things, meaning that they're subject to our jurisdiction, their kids are citizens if they're born. And this part of the executive order will go yeet just as much as his other ones were yeeted, whatever. B, either parent of that person is a foreign government employee defined to include ambassadors. That part will stand because ambassadors have diplomatic immunity. As such, ambassadors are not subject to our jurisdiction, and as such, their children are not automatically citizens at birth under the Constitution, as it states in the ruling. So you don't need an executive order to state that ambassadors or the children of ambassadors who have, diplomatic immunity are not going to be citizens. You don't need an executive order for this. Persons employed by a foreign embassy or consulate who are nationals of that foreign country. Do those people have diplomatic immunity as well? If those people have diplomatic immunity, they are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, and as such, their children, even if born here, would not be citizens at birth. No need for an executive order. Persons employed by a foreign government in an official capacity, again, do they have diplomatic immunity? Yes. Then their children can't be citizens or are not automatically granted citizenship by the Citizenship Clause in the 14th Amendment. If they don't have diplomatic immunity and are subject to our jurisdiction, then according to the Supreme Court ruling, children born in the United States to parents unlawfully or temporarily present are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and are citizens at birth under the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause. Persons employed by an international organization that possess international organization immunity. So if they have international organization immunity and as such are not subject to the laws of our country, then children born in the United States to parents unlawfully or temporarily present are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and are citizens of birth. But if they're not subject to our jurisdiction, then they are not granted citizenship via the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment. C, either parent of that person engaged in a commercial transaction to purchase or access birthright citizenship for the person or engaged in fraudulent activity to obtain citizenship, to include when the parents of the person engaged in a transaction, when the parents engaged in a commercial transaction with a surrogate present. Again, they're bringing this stuff up as well because Texas was also trying to prevent surrogacy to take place from people who are, foreign nationals or whatever. But here's the thing. If they are subject to our jurisdiction, then guess what? This again. D, the person is born in a territory or territorial waters of the United States where citizenship is not conferred by federal statute. Well, again, if you are born in the United States and you're subject to a jurisdiction, therefore you're a citizen at birth. If you are not in the United States when you are born, then the citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment does not apply. Now, there are people who are not born in the United States who absolutely are still citizens at birth because of other laws that exist on the books. There are rules on, what the parentage, how long the parents had to be citizens, this, that, the other. There's all sorts of convoluted ways that you can get it, and that's fine. But again, there's no need for this because half of it deals with people who are not subject to our jurisdiction, or at least some of it deals with people who are not subject to our jurisdiction, and as such, their children wouldn't be citizens of the United States upon birth in this country, or the people are subject to our jurisdiction because they lack diplomatic immunity, and this again. So, again, one of the most dumb administrations ever, and he's going to keep trying to, like Don Quixote. We've called him a modern-day Don Quixote because he hates windmills. He hates the turbines. So we already call him that in a hoax. But now he's also a Don Quixote because his new windmill that he's going after is the citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment. And he's just trying as hard as he can to be a racist motherfucker. And make America white again. Because when you say make America great again, that really means make America white again. And I challenge any of y'all MAGA folks who might be listening now or later to prove me wrong. Because clearly that's what this administration has been doing from day one. They want to kick out all the brown people and bring in all the white people, aka the South Africans that were brought in because of the farms. Anyway, another example of why this administration is inept. And just because we need to do another check of this again, even though I know what the result is going to be, let's click the click to listen on again to just confirm that this is also incorrectly coded.
By the President of the United States of America, Proclamation 1. Section 338 of the...
Again, that's not the words there. So again, this little listen button links to the same thing all over. Because they're dumb. Make America gringo alone. That deserves a... Trust Edivy Game says, LOL, as a mathematician, I'm morally obligated to make fun of engineers. See, does that mean he didn't believe in irrational numbers? Would I be scared if I wrote down the square root of 2? You would be very irrational for that, right? Every time Hal makes us watch The Young Turks, we insist he shows us a cat. And then he goes, do it live, fuck it. I don't know, we'll see. Let's see, got called to pick up at 11 a.m. She was out of... Oh, missed. I'm halfway in the middle of the story. Anyway, but yeah, Make America Gringo alone is just fucking exactly what they want to do. So, why is it so... It's typically so hot in this room. Like, I don't understand. Like, in this room that I'm sitting in my office, it's like the hottest room in the house. Both in the winter and the summer. In the winter, the heat just pours down on you. In the summer, the air is not as cool as one might want it to be. But sometimes during the day, which is the weird thing, like if I have the door closed, or if I keep the door closed and I come in, the room will feel cooler because the cold air is trapped. But I sit here probably because I'm sitting here long enough, and the reason that it's a problem is because I'm sitting here and I generate a ton of body heat. I am a furnace. I've always been a furnace. Even when I was like 220 or whatever, I always ran hot, and people would love to snuggle up with me in the winter. So anyway, let's see. But yeah, there's all this stupid bullshit from here. But yeah, I was just enjoying the whole just having that thing ready, just minimize, maximize, so everybody could see the part of the ruling that they held for the ruling for Trump versus Barbara. Anyway, let's see. Oh, why do I have this whole thing open again? So like it's the Liberal Dan After Dark. Good thing I didn't have anything dirty on my screen, huh? Anyway. Sometimes I have to remember which order to click my buttons. So, Big Hook, I think most in this chat keep bladder hours of wake up. It's possible. Let me just see something real quick before we do open up the phone lines. Let's go ahead and see if we can find how short any of these might be. The Young Turks, Fauci. Was it revealed Dr. Fauci is a huge liar from 8 days ago? And then there's also one, Dr. Fauci hides behind the 15th Amendment. I'm sorry, and I have no cat to show you. So let's see. Let's see how the poll is. So far, we have a poll over on YouTube from 51 minutes ago with 17 votes. Should we make the intro video shorter? Yes, only the theme song, says 12%. Yes, only the theme and one other, and the one other would have to be a certain particular song that goes...
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, that screen fell play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
So, yes, 12% said yes, only the theme song. 6% say yes, only the theme and one other. And 82% no, it is fine as is. So I think the general consensus, at least of the people who participated in the poll, is that we should keep. The reason I ask this is because sometimes I feel like maybe the intro is a little too long, but I also feel like by having a longer intro, it benefits the people who might see the notification, but not immediately. Although everybody should click the notification button so they know that I'm live, right? Hit the get notifications on YouTube, y'all. Then again, and the good thing is now that I have a timer on the video, if somebody's watching the live after the fact, they know they could skip the videos if they want to because they know when the show is going to start. So anyway, that's how I feel about, it's now 11 and 11% with 78% saying no, it's fine. But we're still going to end the poll simply because of the fact that I want to make a new poll, which is... should I do a live reaction to TYT? And I'm just going to leave it at yes or no. So here we go. Y'all have a couple of minutes while we just sit here and talk about stuff. See, Suzanne says, I'm going to eat a bowl of cereal, the whole wheat. I'm from Walmart, or no, it's from Amazon. Because here's a funny story before we get to see what the poll says. Hey, 250 kilo ohm, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining over on Twitch. Anyway, so there was one we may lose power. We just had the power go in and out. So if for some reason I lose, if for some reason you lose me, it's because we may have some power issues. I don't know. Seems to be okay currently, but just in case I just abruptly end, there is just two little quick flashes of lights going off and on. Not enough to knock off the internet, thankfully, but enough to make me concerned that we might lose internet. So, let's see. 56% so far say yes, 44% say no. We'll see what level we go. But anyway, back to the thing. I used to have this cereal that I used to love as a kid. And it's not a very kid cereal, but I used to eat it at my grandparents' house all the time because I used to have it. And then I couldn't see it. I couldn't find it. I couldn't remember what it was. And for years, I was trying to figure out and remember what it was. And there was like literally a day where I'm like, I really wish I could find out what the name of that cereal was because I really enjoyed it. But I can't for the life of me remember what it was. I guess I could have called up my grandparents and asked because they were still alive at the time, but I just didn't think it was that important for a call. But I was sitting there just one day, and then all of a sudden I changed the station like, on that day, and I start seeing a commercial about Quaker toasted oatmeal squares, and I was like, "That's it. That's the cereal." And the end of the commercial was like Quaker toasted oatmeal squares, the cereal you've been looking for since you were a kid. And I was like, how did they know? This was before Facebook, listened to everything that you talked about. And, this is before Facebook even existed, I think. So I just happened to find it. Like, I was trying to find other things on Amazon. Like, I bought another headset so I could use it with my Nintendo Switch so I don't have to just deal with pairing back and forth. If and when I start doing live streaming again for gaming, which won't take away from Liberal Dan Radio, but it might add to how much I might do it randomly, like maybe on a weekend or something, or maybe I'll go back to doing it on Tuesdays. I don't know. We will see. That being said, so I was kind of looking for it. I was like, let me see because I forgot to order it in another order, and I was like, oh, $3 a box for 3 boxes. I'll take that. So awesome. So yeah. It was crazy. Steve says we saw the flicker, so yeah. It's not us, it's you. Heard that before.
Oh my.
Anyway, so we're at 64%. Will you still watch me? Will you still, I don't know what rhymes with watch me, when I'm 64. Dun, dun. All right, so which one should we do first? Should we do, because it looks like the poll seems to be going, and we got 11 votes, half the people have voted, and 64% say yes. So seems like people more likely than not want to see me cover this crap. So let's cover the crap. Should we go into Anthony Fauci hides behind let's do this one. We'll do Anthony Fauci hides behind the Fifth Amendment
I like
first,
making my...
and then we'll do whatchamacallit. So let's see. We'll see what they have to say about the Fifth Amendment, because this is one they're probably going to be the most wrong on, and maybe another day we'll do the Young Turks one when it maybe another day we'll do the Young Turks one. Whatchamacallit? Why is that? I can't select it. Now I can select it. I want to make this a little smaller so you can see more of the chat. I wanted to make it bigger earlier because I wanted y'all to see the whatchamacallit. Why am I moving it around a bit? I don't know. How should I move it around and make it better? I don't know. Is that better? Is that better? I don't know. At least you can see 4 lines of text at this point, right? Anyway, so we've been talking about how people are not understanding the Fifth Amendment and not understanding the importance of it, or why Dr. Fauci would still have to plead it, even though he has a presidential pardon covering him from state crimes. So we are going to now see what the Young Turks have to say about him supposedly hiding behind the Fifth Amendment in the Senate hearing. So let's go ahead, and I'm wondering how many times we're going to have to hear.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
I don't know why they have sick here. I don't know, but let's continue to watch this and do a little bit of a response to the Young Turfs, shall we?
His publicly releasing my unredacted personal diary aimed at embarrassing and intimidating me, the only conclusion I can reach is that the sole reason he is calling me before this committee is to get me to say something, anything that could vindicate his repeated public pledges that I end up, in his words, quote, behind bars.
And clearly that's what this is, all political theater. This is all clearly done in a ridiculous way. And they were trying to set him up to allow, like, apparently for state people to come after, because Florida was already looking after him. Liz Murrow from Louisiana is now looking at him and trying to investigate him for whatever crimes they could manufacture about him, because they don't like, how he, saved lives during the pandemic.
That was just a little taste of Anthony Fauci's opening statement.
A little taste of Anthony Fauci.
Oh my.
Anyway, let's continue to see what Anna Turf-Sparian has to say.
And as he testified before the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee. Now, unfortunately, his opening statement was really the only time he said anything at all, because
there's a reason for that, and let's see how dumb Anna is on this.
He invoked his Fifth Amendment right over and over again for the...
As one does when one is declaring or taking the fifth, because, you can't, there's not necessarily wiggle room there. You have to plead the fifth or not.
The remainder of the hearing. Now, Senator Josh Hawley called it out pretty aggressively. Take a look.
And we've already covered how Hawley covered out. We have a video on that, so we can skip this and go back to the turf herself.
They know it. This isn't about the Constitution. This isn't about the law. This is about contempt.
I mean, he's right, but he's wrong about why he's right.
So yesterday, when we were covering Fauci's diary entries on the show, I had totally forgotten about the fact that former President Joe Biden had done these blanket pardons before.
How can you be a political analyst and forget that Biden gave Fauci a pardon? Like, I don't believe you. I don't believe Anna that she forgot that Biden had given him a pardon. So, holy shit. I mean, couldn't it get more stupider? I don't know.
Leaving office, and he did preemptively pardon Anthony Fauci.
Because he knew that they were going to actually use lawfare, as opposed to what the Biden administration Justice Department was doing, was going after Donald Trump for actual crimes that Donald Trump committed, for laws that Donald Trump signed while president. But they knew that they were going to go after Hunter Biden. He knew that they were going to go after Fauci. He knew they were going to go after a whole bunch of different people. And so he preemptively pardoned them because they knew what was coming for Fauci, and it was a bunch of bullshit.
Before leaving office. And so when...
Wait, 250 Cologne goes, Anna is a social media whore. Look, I have to disagree with you there. We support whores here on this show. We do not slut shame, and we do not feel like we should be disgracing or disrespecting whores by comparing Anna to them.
I was talking about the need to prosecute Fauci. It turns out you can't prosecute Fauci thanks to Joe Biden's pardon.
Wait,
now, why would I want to prosecute Fauci? Well, those diary entries, which were...
Why would she want to prosecute Fauci? Because you're a hack. That's why you would want to prosecute Fauci, because you want to shift your audience is leaving you once you started being a TERF, and instead of apologizing for being a TERF, you doubled down on your TERFiness and are now trying to get conservatives to come watch your damn show.
Released by Senator Rand Paul, ahead of this hearing, indicated that Fauci lied to the American people about a lot of things, including the
Did it? We may go through a fact check of that. I'm sure other people have fact checked that claim. We haven't quite yet done that yet on this show. So we're going to let that be an open question that we're going to basically assume is bullshit unless proven otherwise. So let's just, for the moment, say that's a bunch of bullshit, and we always have the ability to come back and allow ourselves to be proven. Because again, it's their job to prove to us that he was lying in the diary. It's not our job to disprove it, right? They have the responsibility to explain to us. And maybe when we go over that other video, they'll try and make an attempt. And maybe we'll do that Monday. We'll see. Let's continue.
Origin of the coronavirus, So we went over that. I'll go over it again in just a minute.
I mean, COVID is a coronavirus. There's lots of coronaviruses.
But if he is safe from prosecution, now would be a great time to be forthright with the American people.
No, you dummy. No, because he could be prosecuted at the state level. Again, another example of a media type, and now they're still a corporation, they're still incorporated under the Young Turks or whatever, so, but I'm not necessarily going to label the TYT the corporate media, because I usually more save that towards like the networks and stuff like that. For the networks to not focus on that, is horrible on the part of the networks. But y'all still should know how pardons work. I mean, I guess Anna didn't even know he was pardoned, so I mean, she was ignorant on that. Maybe that explains why she's ignorant on what his pardon actually covers and what it doesn't cover. But there's still a good reason to plead the fifth, as we've covered before. Let's continue.
But he decided against doing that. And it really does show him for who he really is.
Somebody who doesn't want to be the target of lawfare, who was invoking his Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution, because you have activist lawfare waging AGs in red states who are going to come after him with if they have any little bit where they could hang their hat, even if it's a non-correct bit, they're still going to try and hang their hat and do it, because even if they can't get a conviction, they can still force him to spend money defending himself.
And it's pretty devastating, because there are a lot of people in this country, myself included, who put a lot of trust in him.
And I still have not lost that trust. If you lose your trust for Dr. Fauci because of what a bunch of Republicans have said about him, especially during that hearing when you had the dummy with his chart, trying to base, the VAERS data, which is self-reported a lot of the times, and it can include things like, oh, this person died after taking the COVID vaccine. Well, how did he die? Car accident. Like, come on.
At a time of chaos, panic, at a time of instability in our federal government where we didn't know who to trust. And
we shouldn't have trusted Donald Trump, and we shouldn't trust, I mean, technically you probably shouldn't trust anybody in government, but especially MAGA folks.
He took advantage of Americans at a time when we were deeply vulnerable.
How did he take advantage of Americans? How? Explain that, Anna.
Vulnerable and terrified. So, listen, when we covered this story yesterday, apparently some people were so offended that we would dare to tell the truth.
Maybe I will have to cover this later afterwards. And maybe, I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I will have to cover the next one afterwards, because this is just ridiculous. But maybe we should have done the other one first.
After coming across new information about Anthony Fauci that they've unsubscribed.
And look, you should always to continue, we need to confirm it's really you to help keep your account safe? What? Let's see. Holy crap, what the hell? What the hell? All right. Are we good now? Have I confirmed I am who I say I am? Because holy shit, what the hell was that? Anyway. I guess everybody got to see that. So I guess I'll have to edit that part out of the video. Let's continue.
Okay, if you don't want to know the truth, that's totally fine. But for those who do want to know the truth, because it's important to prevent this kind of stuff from happening in the future.
Prevent what kind of stuff? What truth? Again, we'll probably have to put a pin on the what truth question until we look at the other one. But apparently they lost thousands of subscribers because of it, and good for them. Because again, they're being hacks.
Think about the number of people who died. Think about the number of people who literally.
Yeah, the number of people who died, and the responsibility of that is Donald Trump's failed response to COVID. His wanting to stop the testing, because if you have more testing, you have more cases. That type of thinking killed people. The fact that he did Project Warp Speed, but didn't actually have a method to get the shots in arms. He wanted to fund, and get the vaccines out, but he had no plans of getting it out into people. Probably knew. He probably had internal polling data that said, hey, you're going to lose. So then he decided, okay, well, since we're going to lose, let's just pass off the administration, the next administration, to Biden with nothing, no ability to get shots in arms. So Biden looks like an idiot, putting more people at risk. And Biden, to his credit, was able to set a goal and surpass the goal by double by July 4th of 2021. So he did the job that Trump couldn't do. But Trump's ineptitude and his lying, because again, he lied to Woodward, saying that that he likes to downplay the threat, that he downplayed the threat because he likes to sugarcoat everything. He sugarcoats things so much that we should all have diabetes at this point. But if you want to talk about who's responsible for the deaths, it's Donald Trump, it's the Republican governors, it's all the people that refuse to mask up and socially distance, all the people who didn't want to get vaccinated. That's who's responsible for the vast majority of the deaths. Fauci was trying to save your damn life. But I guess Donald Trump loves you now, since you apparently seem to be part of the poorly educated.
Early lost everything. You know, someone I grew up with who worked her ass off. I mean, she was working from like 14, okay? Because she wanted to. Like, she wanted to learn how to style and dye hair. And she wanted to own, her biggest dream was to own a hair salon. She worked really hard and actually accomplished that. COVID destroyed it. She now does not have a business.
And if we would have had more robust testing, we maybe should have done more, we could have done things like, targeted lockdowns to see where the virus was having an outbreak and target that lockdown, but allow the other parts to remain more open, have less harsh restrictions on the other areas where the virus wasn't spreading as much at the time. If we would have had more robust testing, we could have done that. But we didn't, because Donald Trump wanted to not test, because if you have more testing, you have more cases, according to Donald Trump. But really, because Donald Trump lacks object permanence and...
If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list, an administration run by narcissists. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist.
And she's just one
250 Column. Do we believe Anna? No.
Person who experienced that. So many Americans lost everything.
Yeah, I had a tough financial time going through COVID. I was self-employed as a contract worker doing software development for a company, and I worked for like 3 months, and then COVID shut everything down, and I stopped being able to do as much work as possible. The work ran dry, and I ran out of money. I'm still in debt because I took out a SBA loan. To be able to cover it, because I used my projected future earnings to say, hey, here's the SBA loan, here, and they gave me an SBA loan, and I have it. And I now have that monthly payment that I have to continue to make to pay it off in order to help me survive. But I did. I also got 2 PPP loans. I actually used it properly, as opposed to some of the big establishments that got a whole bunch of PPP loans and then never really needed them, so the money dried up. There was definitely better ways that we could have handled getting money in people's hands, and instead of doing all that shit. Like, we could have just, given people a temporary UBI so they could help, sustain their lives while going through all that stuff. But still, I'm not sitting here blaming Dr. Fauci because I had a tough financial time. I'm sitting here blaming the people who are responsible for it, and that's Trump, his ilk, and the people who support him who refuse to follow the science and who think that taking ivermectin somehow cures you.
As a result of how our government handled its response to the pandemic.
Yes, our government failed to handle it. In spite of Fauci's professionalism and Fauci's expertise, our government, which was run by Donald Trump, and the buck stops there, not at Fauci, but there at Donald Trump. And despite Fauci's advice, Donald Trump and Republican governors fucked us during COVID, and not in a good way.
And we need to learn from that. We need to prevent that from happening again in the future.
Absolutely. We should prevent that from happening again in the future, except when y'all were sitting there during the 2024 election, y'all were trying to be all wishy-washy and be like, well, if we're not going to support this, blah, 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 blah. And y'all, the type of thinking by y'all idiots is why we have Donald Trump again. The way to prevent the ineptitude of the Trump administration is to never re-elect them. but y'all are complicit in helping him get reelected because y'all wouldn't be like, you know what? We may not support President Biden, and then when he dropped out and Harris became the nominee, we might not support Harris entirely, but she's infinitely more times better than Trump, and it's very important that we put her in place. But no, y'all had to sit here and operate under the false idea that somehow the Palestinian people who are being screwed over by Netanyahu and being murdered by Netanyahu, those Palestinian people were going to somehow be better under Trump than under Harris? Go fuck yourself. You're ridiculous. Let's continue.
But unfortunately, we're not dealing with people who have the best interests of the people of this country in mind. Anyway,
and that was Trump and his ilk. Fauci was not in Trump's ilk. Fauci was the, as they say, deep state. He was somebody who's been in government and his expertise. I'm surprised he lasted past Biden. I'm surprised, or past Obama. I'm surprised that Fauci wasn't shit-canned like everyone else, except, I guess, during Donald Trump's first term, he did have some people who pushed back against him and what he wanted to do. Now he just has a bunch of sycophants. So now it's even worse. If we have a pandemic during this administration, we are fucked. We are totally fucked because his sycophants are never going to question him. They're going to start doing things like putting disinfectant in bodies and trying to get light in bodies or whatever. And then people like y'all are going to be like, well, maybe we should do it because Fauci was wrong, blah, blah, blah. Dumbass. Let's continue. Let's actually hit play.
The point of this hearing was to,
this should be good,
dive into the origins of and the governmental response to the COVID-19 pandemic.
You think Rand Paul has clean hands, you dumb motherfucker? No. The point of the hearing was to try and give state attorneys general the ability to go after him legally with state charges. Regardless of how valid those state charges might be, they wanted to give the state's attorneys general the ability to have him say something that might give them something actionable to do, because he can't be charged federally, so he has to be charged by the state if you want him in prison. And that's what several states are already doing, and that's why he had to plead the fifth. The point of this was a dog and pony show. It wasn't to get truth. It wasn't about truth at all. It was to absolutely try and, show Fauci as being some evil, horrible person, and idiots like you believed them. Idiots like you believe Holly and fucking Rand Paul. If this doesn't, I'm surprised they only lost thousands. They should lose to everybody. Should be gone from the Young Turks. And there's a great channel that you could follow instead. Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, That's Right. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Central. Shameless self-plug. Anyway, let's continue.
Now, Fauci's refusal to cooperate did not mean there were no spicy moments in this hearing.
Now that's a spicy meatball.
Now, Republican Senator Bernie Moreno, who's he's a Republican from Ohio, engaged in a pretty fiery rant about Fauci. And so before we get to the clip, I want to give you some context. Moreno said
context from the Young Turfs. This should be good.
He decided to run for office soon after learning that a woman was arrested at an Ohio middle school football game in 2020 for refusing to wear a mask, which was reportedly against the school's policy at the time.
Well, they probably arrested her for trespassing because she wouldn't follow the rules of the school. Seems to make sense that if you're trespassing and you refuse to leave or comply with what the school wants you to do, guess what? You can get kicked off of school grounds.
Now, with that in mind, here's more of what Moreno had to say to Anthony Fauci.
I cannot stand idly on the side and watch this happen. It was about 6 years ago today that I decided I'm going to give up my businesses, sell them all, run for.
So he sold all. Who did he sell them to? I want to know who he sold them to. That should be an interesting topic of conversation, perhaps. If he actually legitimately sold his businesses to non-family members just so he could run for Congress, he's at least has a little bit more integrity than Donald Trump, but he's still a Republican, so that's not much. And that's actually a very low bar.
Office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the do you think you were for doing that?
Did he create the rule? He advised people on what to do. And initially he said no masking. You shouldn't go out and hoard masks and buy masks. But the reason why he said that is because he wanted to make sure that the first responders, the people working in hospitals, and all the people that needed the masks, they wanted to make sure that they had the masks. So they told us, don't hoard up all the masks because your doctors need them, your nurses need them, your EMS folks need them, your police need them. Simple as that. But then once the data started to show that wearing masks could prevent the spread to other people, which is a concept that conservatives, can't grasp because they're only thinking about what protects themselves and don't give a shit about what protects other people. Right? They can't grasp that concept, so they don't want to actually participate in helping to save other people's lives.
It is a total disgrace what you did to this country. There is no
What did he do?
defense of what you did. You may have had a 50-plus year legacy of public service.
And nothing that he done that I've seen so far during the COVID pandemic makes that any change. But let's go ahead and skip him. And then, of course, he's going to plead the fifth. And then here comes Cenk.
With base 44.
We're in ads now. Oh, we're in ads and they're talking about Noble Mobile or whatever. That's clever. That's cute. Noble Mobile. But let's go back.
I mean, there's so many things that we learned from his journal entries that were infuriating. But for me, one of the most infuriating things was how he would publicly deny that there was a lab leak that led to this virus spreading.
And are you sure you took the comments in from the diary in the context in which they were given? Or did you take the context that was given to you by Rand Paul and others and just believe them, just like you believed what the intent of the hearing was too, because you're that stupid?
Okay, publicly, he called these people lunatics, conspiracy theorists. No.
Because they are, and they were. And sometimes people who come up with conspiracies end up being true. But most of the time, they're just wackadoodles. So you can't do policy by wackadoodle conspiracy theory. You have to do policy by confirmed fact. At least that's how you should be doing it, and that's how responsible people do it.
No. The virus originated from a wet market in China. That's what he said. Then we learn in his journal, he said something.
Again, Dr. Fauci said certain things during the pandemic earlier on, and then later on he changed it as the data changed. As they gained more information, their theories about the origins, their theory about what prevents it, their theory about what we should do to protect each other for it, moved a little bit because as the science learns more, scientists will change their opinions because they will react to new data and adjust their opinions accordingly, unlike MAGA folk who will think one thing in the same way for the rest of their lives and they can't be told any differently because goddamn, how dare they be wrong for anything in their lives.
Something entirely different. Now, we're going to revisit that. But first, I just want to say the Democrats in this committee defended Fauci despite what we learned from the journal entries. And I just want to understand, why is this a partisan issue?
It shouldn't be a partisan issue, but you're taking the Republican side, so.
Why is this a partisan issue? This shouldn't be a partisan issue. This should be an issue where you look at the evidence, you look at his conduct, and you stick to the facts.
Yes, that should be how it goes. But that's not what the Republicans are doing, and you're being now a useful idiot for the Republican Party and for Donald Trump and for MAGA. So congratulations.
But the turning a global pandemic into a partisan issue is one of the dumbest things.
What do you think was going on all during 2020 and 2021? The Republicans made it a partisan issue and continued fighting the scientists who wanted people to be safe. COVID has been a partisan issue since it first was thought of. You had people going on the radio in 2020 when I was still going into work at that place when I was software developing as a consultant, when I was still going into the workplace to do my job there. We had people calling into the radio suggesting that the vaccines that they created are going to inject 5G into our bodies so that we can be used as mini cell towers or whatever. The radical, crazy conspiracy theories about what was going to happen in COVID were there a year before the vaccines were even ready. This was politicized from day one.
Imaginable. But that's what we do in this country. They turned it into a culture war, when in reality, this has to do with...
Yes, the Republicans turned it into a culture war. Not the Democrats. The Republicans turned it into a culture war. If Donald Trump and the Republican Party wanted to be responsible, they would have done many things differently. They would have encouraged testing. They would have ramped up funding for testing. They would have made sure that people masked up. Donald Trump would have put a campaign site, said, "Make America Great Again" masks. $50 a piece, and they would have sold out, especially if you would have had like signed ones. Those could have gone for even much more. And the people would have bought them up who were the MAGA folks, and they would have worn them proudly, and they would have stopped the spread of the virus as much. And if Donald Trump would have said, "Stay home, sit your asses home, don't do anything, be safe, protect your fellow human beings, because we want to make sure that all the beautiful MAGA folks stay alive so they can vote in the 2020 election," they would have listened to him. But no, he had to be like, "I don't want to wear a mask behind the Resolute desk because I wouldn't look good with a mask on." You look much worse with a mask off, Donnie boy. But still, again, how Anna is blaming the Democrats here is just... You are stupid. Should play Hal's "This Is Some Bullshit" song.
Questions of life and death. It has to do with questions of how the government should respond, whether or not the government should fund something known as gain-of-function research.
And the Obama administration stopped funding, like put a temporary pause on gain-of-function research. And the Trump administration, because they had to undo everything that Obama did, or he tried to at least undo everything Obama did, they started it back up again. So that's Trump. And again, there's questions as to whether or not this was really an attempt to do gain-of-function research, because Fauci said that his, as it was defined by the federal government, what they were funding was not gain-of-function research. But you can still do research into viruses, and that can result in a virus gaining function and still have that be the intent. But again, people who are stupid don't understand that.
And if they do fund it, what type of gain-of-function research is okay to pursue?
And sometimes, you know what? Gain-of-function research, when done properly, is important to do. Why? Because guess what? You need to understand how the virus can mutate in order to make sure you know how to fight it when and if it does. Because viruses by themselves can gain function. Whether or not that function is to make it more lethal, whether the function is to make it more transmittable, or God forbid, make it more transmittable, survive longer, and then be more deadly. That would be the worst case scenario. Typically, when viruses become more deadly, they become less transmittable, because when you kill the host, they can't transmit it beyond to further people. But if you have the possibility of both happening, because it stays in your body longer and then kills you, while after you've transmitted to everybody else, then that's a problem. So maybe studying why viruses do that might be a reasonable thing to do. Now, should you make sure you have proper safety standards? Sure. Should we maybe not have trusted a lab in China to do it? Sure, if that's actually what happened. But again, I'm not convinced that they were funding that in China, because why would we believe anything that these Republicans say about what was in Fauci's diaries, or what Fauci said, or what Fauci did, or any of the facts pertaining to the pandemic, when they can't even be honest about why he pled the Fifth? They can't be honest about anything. They lie through their teeth. So why would you believe anything that they say? A Republican could tell Anna Kasparian they took gullible out of the dictionary, and she'd be like, "Oh, did you know that Merriam-Webster took gullible out the dictionary? That's terrible. Why did they do that?"
But we're not having that conversation, are we? So a group of 155 scientists, doctors, and public health advocates.
155. Not a large number comparatively to the rest of them.
Also signed a letter defending Fauci. I don't know if they read any of Fauci's.
Okay, fine. But still, 155 is not a lot, regardless of what side they're on.
Journal entries. But they wanted to defend Fauci while painting the scientific community as victims of the Trump administration.
And that's what they are. They are absolutely victims of the Trump administration because the Trump administration is going after science. They don't like science. Science is inconvenient to them because science deals with facts and intelligent people, and Donald Trump doesn't like either.
Now, look, I agree. The Trump administration has not been friendly to scientists. However, this is not the right context to make that argument, okay? So they say in the letter alleges that the Trump administration and its congressional allies are waging a war on individual scientists through public harassment, arrests. I don't know who they're referring to when they talk about arrests. Anthony Fauci has never been arrested. Criminal indictment.
Well, they're not talking just about Fauci, but again, and I don't know who was arrested either, but I think maybe the threat of arrests is the intimidation.
And ongoing threats of prosecution.
And there are ongoing threats of prosecution.
Fauci, let me remind you, was preemptively pardoned by Joe Biden before he left office, okay?
And that doesn't cover the states, you dumb idiot.
Okay. Multiple, so that's what they say. They say the charges against Dr. Fauci are baseless, suggesting he covered up, this is the important part, suggesting he covered up the origins of COVID, that he bribed or persuaded other scientists to join his cover-up, that NIAID funded research sparked the pandemic, that he personally holds patents on the virus, and that he's working with intelligence agencies to suppress the true story of the pandemic, the letter states. No credible evidence has been produced to support these absurd charges, except there have.
And it is the responsibility of them to show the credible evidence. And now maybe she's believing that the other video says that she's supporting the credible evidence, but you know, why would I believe them? And why would I believe the young TERFs at this point?
Has been credible evidence, and that credible evidence comes in the form of Dr. Anthony Fauci's own journal entries. So like, were they false? Were they totally manufactured? Are they?
Again, I haven't read the diary entries, so I can't know in which the context they were given. And I'm sure there are people who are fact-checking the diaries entries now, and I'm sure there are plenty of ones out there that are probably going to say why Anna is, again, dead wrong. But, you know, let's cover that in a little bit when we're going to talk about the other video in a second, because I think I'm just going to go ahead and do both tonight because I think I have to at this point.
Fake? Because Anthony Fauci doesn't say that those journal entries are fake. And in fact, maybe we should take a look at those journal entries again so you guys get a sense of what I'm talking about here.
Maybe we should.
So as we shared with you yesterday, Senator Rand Paul released thousands of pages from Fauci's journal. Now you might—
Did he release all of them or just thousands? Was it all of them?
Be wondering, well, how did Senator Paul get his hands on Fauci's journal? Fauci wrote these journal entries on a government computer, thus making it available for Freedom of Information request.
Fair enough. I mean, if that was on a public computer, then absolutely, it's available for a public for a Freedom of Information request.
Belongs to the government. Okay, that's how we have it. So from his journal, we learned that only a few scientists, 2 scientists, in fact, early on in the pandemic, real early on in the pandemic, were open to his theory that COVID was a naturally developed virus that jumped from animal to human in a wet market in China. Only 2. The others were like, this looks like a lab leak.
Okay, but like, again, stating a theory and then changing your mind on a theory isn't bad science. When you get new data that goes against what you initially thought, and then you change your course based on the new data, that's how science works. And again, she's not showing us the text on the screen. That's the other problem. She's not showing us the actual text on the screen. She's reading us and wanting us to believe her when, why should we?
So the rest suspected the virus might have been created.
Of course, as soon as I say that, here's the text.
Artificially, not least because a leading.
This is editorial board of Wall Street Journal. This is not necessarily the text from the diary, I guess. I don't know.
Scientist in Wuhan, Shi Zhengli, was known to engage in the sort of gain of function research that could produce such a result.
Okay, known to do that doesn't necessarily mean that we paid Shi Zhengli to do it. This is where conservatives also screw up money, where it's like if government pays, like this is like their Planned Parenthood logic. If government pays Planned Parenthood, if the government pays Planned Parenthood money for like cover a pap smear or other preventive care or other non-abortive services. But because it's at a Planned Parenthood, they think that you're funding abortions because you're giving money to Planned Parenthood. Even though the money is going to Planned Parenthood for non-abortive services, they don't like it because the money is going to Planned, and they're saying, well, this is money that's funding abortions because it's funding Planned Parenthood. Well, like if you send money to a research lab to do X, and the research lab is also doing Y, again, I don't know if this is the case, but again, they haven't gone into the great detail about it, at least on Young Turfs. It doesn't mean that X funded Y. Let's continue.
Now let's get to Fauci's diary.
Yeah, exactly, Steve. That's not his diary. That's the WSJ editorial. Yeah, but I don't know if they're quoting him or not.
Entry. The diary suggests that by January.
And again, this clearly is editorial board and not a direct quote from Fauci's diary.
26, 2020. So this is even before the lockdowns happened. Okay. Dr. Fauci believed the virus had not originated in the Wuhan wet market, often identified as the source by natural origin advocates. This did not stop him and allies from painting skeptics of the natural origin theory as politicized cranks and conspiracy theorists.
Now, did they make the people who were skeptics of the natural origin theory as cranks and conspiracy theorists because they rejected the natural origin theory, or were they painted as cranks and conspiracy theorists because of all the other shit they believed in, like, ivermectin could, somehow cure COVID, or that you could take any other bunch of random shit, like, aquarium cleaner or whatever, and that would cure you or protect you from it. Like, that's why or you had people out there who like, I don't believe it has a natural origin, and I also believe that the vaccines are going to put 5G in everybody's body. Like, that's why those people are conspiracy theorists. And why would anybody believe? Like, if you want to convince me that you really believed that the virus was not a natural origin and as such and was manufactured instead, don't then also come at me and tell me that if you take the vaccine, you're going to have 5G in your bloodstream, because I'm going to immediately discount anything else that you say is crazy. What's up, Josh? Good to see you.
I remember early on in the pandemic, after the lockdowns had happened and we had a shortage of masks, Dr. Anthony Fauci told the American people, oh, you don't need masks. Don't worry.
And this is why I can't believe Anna. Because this is often conservative misleading. Because yes, at the very beginning of and we already covered this, but we'll cover it again. We'll talk about it again. At the beginning of the pandemic, Fauci was like, let's not have everybody use masks. We don't know the efficacy of the masks in protecting the wearer, and as such, we don't recommend people getting all those masks because our first responders need it. He did in that statement, and let's see if she says this. He did in that statement, and I'll look it up in a second. he did in that statement also say that masking may provide protection from spreading it, protection so that you don't, or you're less likely to spread it to other people. And he posited that, and then later on, when the data showed that, he changed his advice and said, yes, you should go wear masks now that they are more readily available. But the reason when masks were short that he didn't want everybody going out and buying them, because he wanted them for the first responders, for the ER doctors, for the people who needed it the most, when everybody else should have been sitting their asses at home while they figured out what the hell was going on with the pandemic so they could get a better picture of it, a clearer picture of it, without it spreading to everybody and overwhelming the emergency rooms and the hospitals that have limited beds, that because you have people who are in public health who plan how many beds you think you might need available in a particular area because of, normal things that happen every day. How many car accidents typically happen? How many people need, heart surgery? How many people need other, emergency procedures over the course of the year? Make sure you have those beds available in an area and maybe leave a little extra just in case it varies from month to month or year to year. Because we didn't want to, again, have people who needed it for, emergency procedures so the hospitals couldn't, deal with them because you were overloaded with COVID patients.
You don't need masks. And the reason why he said that is because we had a severe mask shortage and we had to save whatever masks we did have for frontline healthcare workers.
That's correct.
But when you say that, what it does is it dissuades Americans from using N95 masks once you have enough of them.
It absolutely does not. That is an illogical statement. That is an absolutely illogical statement. What was the direct quote from early in the pandemic from Fauci about masking and data for and first responders, blah, 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 blah. Fauci, here, relevant exchange, Lepook. There's a lot of people who are saying, should I be wearing a mask? Fauci, right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks. You sure of it? Because people are listening really closely to this. Fauci goes, right. And people should not be walking around with masks. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask. When you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a little better, but it might even block a droplet, but it's not providing the perfect protection that people think it is. And often there, and hold on. It didn't give me the whole quote. So let's try and see. Let's see. Fauci quote, search another way. Early in pandemic about masking. Let's try to see. Trying to find. No, that's not it. We may have to edit this. Why is this? Bad response. Didn't give full quote. Trying to find this one. I'm going to have to. Trying to find the direct quote, blah, blah, blah. Let's see, I need the whole quote, including how there could be protection in spreading to others. See, the masks are important for someone who's infected to prevent them from infecting somebody else, which is why you needed them for the health people. But again, for some reason, this is not giving me the actual quote that I'm looking for. Let's see. Fauci email text about masking early in pandemic. Let's see. Da. Something from Fauci. Again, we're going to have to edit this a good bunch, but whatever. But I'm still trying to find this particular text about what he said. Because, again, I know I've read this before online. Again, let's see. Here we go. Here's the whole quote. Masks are really for infected people to prevent them from spreading infection to people who are not infected rather than protecting unaffected people from acquiring infection. The typical mask you buy in the drugstore is not really effective in keeping out virus, which is small enough to pass through the material. It might, however, provide some slight benefit in keeping out gross droplets if someone coughs or sneezes on you. I don't recommend that you wear a mask, particularly since you are going to a very low-risk location. So that's one of the things that he said in this email about taking a mask to the airport or whatever. So they're not going to protect the wearer, but it might protect the people from spreading it to others because of the droplets or whatever. And then he changed his theory, but again, giving information based off of certain thing at one time and then changing his information based off of new data shouldn't have people be like, well, now I'm going to doubt the information that comes from Dr. Fauci because he said this earlier and then he says this later. But that requires intelligent people with working brain cells. And if Anna is a type of person that would be made less likely to wear a mask because Fauci earlier on said don't do it and then changed his mind based off the data, that just means Anna is one of the poorly educated that Donald Trump claimed that he loved.
To encourage Americans to use them.
Okay, this is just moronic on the part of Anna Kasparian and the Young Turks. Sorry, Young Turfs. This is ridiculous to suggest that somehow his early statements would somehow make it so that people wouldn't follow his information later. No, it's idiots like you who say that and try and say that it's somehow contradictory or that it's somehow... Why are they, again, it just bothers me that they have so many people following them still. Like, more people should be dumping them because this is moronic bullshit. Thank you, Jackie, for being a Danimal for 9 months. Appreciate you.
Regardless of his conduct or lies, again,
haven't proven any lies.
Preemptively, he was pardoned by Biden. And now we all know why. We all know why.
No, we all know why, because Biden knew that the Republicans were going to come after him with lawfare, with real lawfare, and that's why he pardoned him. But he still has to plead the fifth because, again, Biden's pardon can't protect you from state-initiated lawfare.
By the way, the reason why he kept pleading the fifth is because he didn't want to perjure himself during this hearing. Had he perjured himself...
And also, yeah, had he perjured himself, that would have been a crime now that wouldn't be covered by the pardon. And if they would have taken anything else out of context or had he misspoken one thing, they could have said, oh, that's perjury, blah, blah, blah. Let's charge him with perjury, even if he just misspoke once. That's perjury. But that's not the only reason why you pled the fifth. Again, state charges, you dummy. Don't comment about the law if you don't have a good understanding of the law. I'm not expecting anybody to be a fucking attorney, but if you don't understand how pardons work and what pardons protect you from and what they don't protect you from, you shouldn't be commenting on the pardons to begin with.
Well, then there could be charges against him that he hasn't been pardoned for. So he knew what he was doing. Anyway, sorry if this news, which is easily verifiable.
Not by y'all, because y'all are no longer trustworthy.
Offends anybody, but I think we should all know the truth, and this is unfortunately the truth. And by the way, I wanted to go to one other thing.
What's the one other thing? Is this related to Fauci? Otherwise, we'll stop this now.
I want to go to the next video because Anthony Fauci had perjured himself previously. Now he's been given a blanket pardon by Biden. The video that you're about to see is from May 11th, 2021. But this is the kind of stuff that he was saying to the American people during these congressional hearings that were just brazen lies. Take a look.
Dr. Fauci, do you still support funding of the NIH funding of the lab in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, with all due respect, you are entirely and completely incorrect that the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain of function research in the Wuhan Institute.
Again, and when he says this, he's saying it as the federal government defines gain of function research. And again, if the virus gained function regardless of their intent, that's not funding gain of function research. And if he's not funding gain of function research as defined by the federal government, then he's not funding gain of function research under the rules of the federal government. And if this is a federal government hearing, then you need to be using how the federal government defines things.
You fund Dr. Barrick?
We do not fund.
Do you fund Dr. Barrick's gain of function research?
Dr. Barrett does not doing gain of function research, and if it is, it's according to the guidelines, and it is being conducted in North Carolina.
You don't think inserting a bat virus spike protein that he got from the Wuhan Institute into the SARS virus is gain of function?
That is
you would
not
be in the minority because at least 200 scientists have signed a statement from the Cambridge.
At least 200 scientists again. I mocked Anna for saying the 155 scientists who agree with Fauci on that one letter. Again, 155 scientists doesn't mean squat. There are tons of scientists. 155 is a very small percentage of them. 200 is also a very small percentage. And that's what these people love to do. They love to cherry pick what scientists they listen to and ignore the consensus.
Working group saying that it is gain of function.
Well, it is not.
So he lied during that hearing.
No, again, freaking idiot. Again, we're going to end this video at this point because, Jesus, we're already in a fucking hour. Maybe we won't do, maybe we'll go to the other Anna video on Monday or Wednesday, or I don't know. We'll do it another day. I don't think I can handle any more Anna fucking tonight. Well, maybe I should word it differently because we shouldn't be having any Anna fucking at all on YouTube.
Oh my.
Anyway, so thank you for watching this. Let's go ahead and end this one out, and we'll continue on with the live, and I guess maybe we'll open up the phone lines in a second. I still have to actually turn on the phone lines. So thank you all for watching this one. Have a good one. Anyway, so let's go ahead and turn that off. Not that one. Not that one. That one. There we go. But yeah, we'll need to also look at that one as well about him supposedly being a huge liar. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. All right, so let's go ahead and pop open this. And we also have to turn off that so we can't hear the ringy-dingy-dingy. And we've turned on Do Not Disturb, turn off Do Not Disturb. So 562-LibDan1, 562-LibDan1, 562-542-3261 is the number to call in. If you would like to debate me, if you would like to rant, if you would like to do whatever, let's keep it to 5 minutes of phone call at the most, just to give other people the opportunity to call in. I love talking to Big Hook for a long time, but I don't want to stay too horribly long, so I do want to open up the gates for more people to call in, so we're going to limit it to 5 minutes at the most for anybody. So anyway, 250 kilo said 5G in my blood gives better bandwidth. I mean, doesn't it always? I have a funny set of videos that I posted. I think they might only be on TikTok, where it has Cassie. I took after her first shot. I was like, how do you feel after the shot? I was like, well, I don't see any increase in my cell phone signal, so it must not be there. Oh, we got a caller, and it is not Big Hook. What is up, Alyosha? Good to hear from you. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing? So, yeah, I was, unfortunately, too, the unhappy news of Trump still trying to do the birthright citizenship provisos of his, where he, again, shouldn't be talking because, as you said, being a hypocrite, especially with the GOP, is a requisite. It's like they lie like we breathe. So we can't go by that, unfortunately or unfortunately, it depends on how gullible you are. Mm-hmm. But then, of course, that's the other thing, is that depending on who I talk to and depending on how much internet time they have, they're either doomer or they're, going, well, hopefully we'll get back to improving ourselves. Unfortunately, if the Republicans win in the midterms, and we know that they will try to win, because if they lose, they might have to find real jobs.
Yeah.
So, again, that's the other, because, again, it depends on who I talk to. If I talk to a real politician, they don't want to be grouped in with them if they have any ethics at all.
Right.
If I'm talking to a sociologist, that's a little different. It's a little more murky. But not all of them are negative. And, of course, no country, no political system's perfect, because human beings aren't perfect.
Right.
Yeah. So there's, again, I wish I had a simple answer. That's the best answer I can give, and I think it's honest and pragmatic. I don't think I'm blowing smoke. I'm not like TYT or other places that,
right.
The magic
well, nobody should be like TYT at this point, so.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to be, the magic word is commune. The magic word is communism. The magic word is Sweden. Oh, it's the Willy Wonka movie from 1971 with all the wonderful candy. So.
Is that why Donald Trump loved Willy Wonka? Because you have a bunch of orange people surrounded by candy?
Ooh, well, there's a thought. Ooh, you might have ruined the movie for us.
Oompa loompa doopity doo.
Oh, God. I'm your favorite candy bar. Anyway.
Nobody has better candy than the Trump Wonka candy. I have the best candy. Like no one ever has seen. No one's ever tasted the candy as good as this one.
Boy, we went into that chocolate fountain a little too hard, huh? Yikes. Yeah, so I mean,
imagine taking AI, and instead of Oompa Loompa, have all of the Oompa Loompas have Donald Trump's face and talking like Donald Trump or singing like Donald Trump. That would be just
I don't know if
that would be brilliant or horrifying.
Yeah, that would be a horror movie. That might be worse than the Johnny Depp version. But, I have made AI with Donald Trump in cartoon form. When I made the Project 2025 AI infographic, it had like a cartoon Trump in 3 different places. And I was like, that's a little creepy. Funny and creepy at the same time. I was like, But does that prove a point or not? I'm not sure. Anyway.
Can you imagine, Donald Trump being like, they're coming into Loompa Land, they're eating the vermicious knids, they're eating the hornswogglers, they're eating the wang doodles.
Yeah. You just reminded me of something. When the kids go too far, and he has the nerve, and Wonka or Trump has the nerve to say, "Wait, stop, police," and I go, "Wait," but Trump would say, "GOP," or something like that. GOP. Write me a pardon, go on TV, say I'm the most innocent guy in the universe, something like that.
You get nothing, you lose. Good day, sir. Although they call me sir, they always call me sir.
You get
with tears in their eyes.
nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
All right, Dan. I'll talk to you later on. That's
all right, man. Have a good
with the walk-up, but it's funny. See you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye. Anyway, let me turn off the phone for a brief second. Let me turn it off for a brief second because I do have one more thing I did want to talk about and I forgot about it. So let's bring that up again for a brief second because I do want to talk about real quickly. We do want to talk about, before we open up the phone lines back again, we do want to talk about Trump Truth API with the Trump Media Technology Group. So the API, again, there's more information coming out about it. We don't necessarily have the complete terms of service for it, but we have a little bit more information than we had the other day. So it is a premium data fee. So it doesn't just like say, oh, you're a user and you're going to get notifications from Trump, from Truth Social or whatever that Donald Trump has posted, and you'll get to see that notification before anybody else gets to see the notification. It'll be only visible to you. No, it's an API. So you're going to be, now I don't know if the API is going to work correctly, as we've seen on the White House website. The White House website can't play the correct audio for, listen to this executive order. They completely failed with that one. But it's a premium data feed that allows subscribers to receive posts from selected Truth Social accounts almost immediately after they're published in a format that computers can ingest directly. So it's probably going to be like either a WSDL format or SOAP format or whatever. It's probably going to be, some sort of JSON file that it can take in and then process and then maybe take an action like a stock trade or something or whatever. Intended for customers that are not ordinary developers. Instead, it's primarily marketed towards high-frequency trading firms, hedge funds, kind of like the ones that Don Jr. and Eric run or whatever, quantitative trading firms, financial data companies, and news analytics providers. And the selling point is that it's going to be speed. Instead of waiting for a web page to refresh or scraping Truth Social, customers receive posts with extremely low latency within milliseconds of publication. What content does it include? It includes top-tier Truth Social accounts as they define it. President Donald Trump, senior administration officials, and other major Truth Social accounts. But obviously, the reason that people want to buy into it or would want to buy into it is because when Donald Trump says something, it has the possibility of moving markets in one direction or the other. So again, Trump has announced or hinted at on Truth Social tariff changes, sanction, military actions, trade negotiations, Federal Reserve commentary, executive orders, and major policy announcements. And these posts have caused stock indexes to move, oil to go up or down, defense stocks to move, crypto to change. Specific companies have been benefited or harmed by it. And so if you know immediately that something is going to take place, you have the opportunity to act on information before the rest of the market, which, again, makes this very suspicious, at least, and, probably should be unethical at best. Can you imagine what might have happened if President Biden said, I will provide you with a service that you can subscribe to and you can pay my company money, and as such, you'll be able to get information before anybody else and then be able to make stock market decisions based on the information that you just paid for?
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, the screen fell play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
So the standard plan is going to cost the users $100,000 a month. However, if you make a multi-year commitment, I think it's from other news sources or whatever, I found it might have been 3 years. I think they don't have all of the specifics, but if you agree to purchase for 3 years, it's approximately $60,000 a month. So $720,000 a year, and that would be times 3, 2.1 million and change. Around 2 million bucks that you're going to be giving for the remainder of Donald Trump's term to Truth Social so that you can have this money so you can act on. And how many people is that going to are going to buy into this? Probably a good bunch, because they probably feel that they'll be able to make a whole bunch of money. And he doesn't care how much money they make off of it, off of the actions that he does, because first of all, he's going to be the one who is making allegedly, the financial transactions before anybody else does, because he'll know about them before he posts them. But once he posts them, then everybody else gets to jump on either shorting a stock or buying futures or selling futures to buy them later or whatever. Whatever would make the most sense to make the person the most money, Trump's going to take that action first. He's going to post to the Truth Social. These other firms are going to then act afterwards. Then everybody else is left holding the bag after they get screwed financially. And all of these hedge funds, all of these, large investment firms or whatever are going to get the benefit of paying into this and then probably making a bunch more money in the long run than they've put into it. Meanwhile, Donald Trump gets to have either 1.2 million a year from people who are standard users, or 3 million over the course of 3 years. But if you're going to do it over the course of the 3 years, why not just pay the $60,000 a month and as such have to only pay $2 million? You save a whole $1 million if you get the 3-year plan, right? So why not? Is there a free trial that you can opt in on to basically say, okay, I could try it for a month for free, and then I can see whether or not I want to continue paying at $100,000 a month? Probably not, because he doesn't want to give up the possibility of getting any money. So he's going to want to get as much money as possible. Again, he's the majority shareholder of the Truth Social company. So money that comes in, now who knows? Now I don't know if Truth Social pays dividends or not. Let's check that out real quick. Does the Truth Social stock pay dividends? Trump Technology is the parent company. Truth Social does not pay cash dividends to shareholders. It operates at a net loss and focuses its capital on growing operations. However, maybe once this happens, let's see, what was their net loss last year? But again, big companies often operate initially at a loss because they're still trying to get share value or whatever. Revenue versus losses. The company brought in just $3.7 million in total revenue, meaning its losses outpaced its revenue by 200 times. Heavy losses were largely tied to non-cash accounting charges, including $368.7 million in unrealized losses from the slumping value of digital assets and cryptocurrency holdings, specifically Bitcoin, that the company acquired. This marked a steep decline from prior periods, yada, yada, yada. So it's lost a bunch of money, but then how much money are they going to make from all of these $100,000 a month or $1.2 million a year or $720,000 a year if they buy the 3-year plan or whatever. Let's see. So publicly known terms. No terms of service have been released publicly. However, reporting suggests it's enterprise licensing, it's commercial use, there's subscription contracts, machine-readable data delivery, premium latency, and recurring monthly fees. No public documentation yet describes the API endpoints, authentication methods, request limits, SDK, REST versus WebSocket implementation, rate limits, uptime guarantees. Of course, there probably won't be any uptime guarantees because he doesn't want anybody suing him. He's probably going to be like, this is a service, but we make no warranty as to the quality of the service, and we make no warranty as to the quality information that you're going to get because he's going to want to make sure that people can't sue his ass after it turns out that it's a massive dump in their pockets. But again, they have not publicly confirmed the exact schema that's going to be coming from. But again, you're going to sell faster. These people are going to have unequal access to the markets, which is not supposed to be allowed. That seems to violate the ideas behind, insider trading, if not actually violating insider trading. I would let a fiscal economic expert comment on that more than, I would take their ideas at hand before, I would make a presumption on my own, right? So anyway, we will come out with more information as it comes out to the public, and we will give more critique and commentary on what this new API is going to give, and we'll start seeing maybe how many people seem to be wanting to buy into this. I'm sure Donald Trump would probably brag about it. We probably don't even have to do any sort of information request from this company. I mean, it's a publicly traded company, so some information probably has to be released anyhow. But Donald Trump would probably tell us before. Now, do we believe how many people he would buy it? Again, Who knows? But he'll at least probably want to, if it's a lot of money, he'll probably brag about it. And as such, we'll be able to see how many people are either taking advantage of this to do some insider-like trading, or how many people are going to be duped by Donald Trump, the con man. Because I'm about 50-50 as to what this is going to actually end up being. Is it going to be another grift, or is that's going to make him money to the loss of other people by him hoodwinking and fooling other people? Or is it going to be, just an ability where he gets money and it's still a grift, but it's still giving other people the ability to give insider type information before the rest of the market gets to benefit from it. So we will keep up with this story as well. So let's go ahead now and reopen back up the phone lines. Again, 862 LibDan 862. Why am I getting 862? 562 LibDan 1, 562 LibDan 1, 562 542 3261 if you want to call in. 250 kilo state-directed capitalism or corporatism, geopolitical risk, arbitrage play, insider trading, not illegal these days. Well, one would think that it shouldn't be, or it should be illegal, but you never know. And again, if somebody does insider trading and it's the Trump administration that's responsible for looking into it, and those firms are paying him the $100,000 a month or $60,000 a month for a 3-year contract, is the Trump administration really going to go after them for insider trading? Or will it be like kind of like a wink wink, look, if you pay me the money, I will happily not go after you for any information for insider trading that you get from this purchase, because he doesn't want to, harm those people, I guess, because they're going to be supporting him financially, and he's going to want to continue to get the money. But of course, at some point, the grift goes away and he'll dump it, and then people will be left holding the bag, and just like with everything else, just like how Trump made a whole bunch of money on, Trump crypto, even though people have lost money on Trump crypto. And I'm sure even though I would bet that, because if you look at some of the losses from the Truth Social holding company, if you look at some of the, the loss information from the corporation and it's Bitcoin information, some Bitcoin losses, I'm wondering if they were able to leverage the corporation to have the corporation do certain transactions with Bitcoins, basically being like, hey, I'm going to buy Bitcoin, I'm going to let it go up, and then I'm going to buy it from myself, so it'll go from like a Trump family member to the corporation, and then who cares if it loses money at that point, because if the corporation goes bankrupt, Donald Trump's already made a shit ton of money. Just like how Mitt Romney used to do with Bain Capital and KB Toys. One of the things we actually talked about in Liberal Dan After Dark last night was Bain Capital and their looting of KB Toys. So, the amount of possibilities for fraud here, the amount of possibilities for grift here, the amount of possibilities for them to be able. This is why you're supposed to have all the president's investments in a, not being controlled by any family member or whatever, that there should be in a blind trust, so that the people who are involved in making the decisions as to whether or not to buy or sell are financial experts in markets, and who are not being driven by the president and his actions on things like, whether or not we're going to invade Iran. Oh, we're going to threaten to invade Iran. Stocks drop. Oh, we're going to not attack Iran. Stocks rise. Lather, rinse, repeat, market manipulation, make a profit, yada, yada, yada. So let's see, Ali Usher, yes. In U.S. federal law, insider trading limitation periods usually depend on who's bringing the case and what kind of claim it is. The general information on the legal device. Short answer, SEC civil penalties for insider trading, generally 5 years. Insider trading civil penalty statute says no action may be brought more than 5 years after the date of the purchase or sale. Private lawsuits by contemporaneous traders, generally 5 years after the last transaction. Fair enough. Darkly Yours, what if you do outsider trading, a new Pixar film? Is Donald Trump going to be anger? Let's let me see if I can come up with that real quick. Hold on. Let's see. Let's images. Make Donald Trump look like the Inside Out character Anger. Oh, image creation isn't available with this model. Try again when instant usage resets at 12:21 a.m. or upgrade to continue. God damn it. That sucks. He's greedy. TARDIS sounds like. Let's see. Woke Mike, vote all Republicans out of office. Again, phone lines are back open again. 562-LIBDAN1, 562-LIBDAN1, 562-542-3261 if you would like to call in. I guess I asked too many questions of this. Let's see. No, I need to do this in this window probably. Let's... I don't want stock. I just want the whole thing. Let's see if I can do it. It probably won't let me do it. All right, we got Big Hook calling in. Hold on. Oh, God damn it. I'm sorry, Big Hook. Let's see if I can... I just inadvertently hung up on Big Hook. Wah, wah. I hit the wrong button. Let's hope Big Hook calls back, because I would say I fat fingered it, but I fat moused it, I guess. This is probably going to be against the terms. Or is it not going to be? We'll see. It kind of looks like ChatGPT. Sorry, Big Hook. Please call back again if I inadvertently ended your call instead of answering your call. There we go. Let's do this again and try and hit the correct thing. There we go. I hit the green button. There we go. Sorry about that, Big Hook.
No problem. No problem. So, what's new in the land of Hades, fire, and brimstone?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's every day is a different disaster to feast on. It's not pleasant to watch what goes on there every day from my perch anyway. It's disheartening to see so many people suffering, without recourse. That's the thing that gets me. I'm wondering if at some point it's just going to get to be too much and a violent revolution is going to be the end result, although that is probably what Trump and Putin are actually aiming for. But
oh my God,
what do you think? Is there an actual plan, or is this just he's a complete fuck up who doesn't understand how shit works, plain and simple?
I mean, why can't it just be a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B, right? I mean, he
really is just a complete incompetent, and that's the thing that gets me is that these maggots, they don't see it, and it's like the proof is right there, guys. You can see it at the gas pump. You can see it at the grocery store. You can see it in your medical bills. Everything is out of reach and becoming even further out of reach the longer he's in power and the longer he plays these games just to cover up the sins of the past with the Epstein files. That's what gets me, is that this is going to be a continuing saga that may carry on for another 2.5 years.
Right.
That's
okay. Now, I do have to just tell the chat, I don't know if you'll be able to see this as well, and I know you're not big on AI or whatever, but this is fucking hilarious. Donald Trump has fucking Anger from Inside Out. It's right now on the screen. Oh my God, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
Apparently, I killed a forest or something by doing that. But yeah, this is absolutely fucking hysterical. Anyway,
But that's the thing. Trump is just a fucking joke, no matter what. And I just can't believe that there's no adults in the room this time to keep him in check, and that all he's surrounded by right now are complete sycophants and yes men who, are going to destroy the country. And, if anything, I would think their constituents who voted these motherfuckers in should take it out on them, because that's just it. They haven't done anything in Congress. They've passed one big fucking pile of shit bill that takes everything away from them in terms of social welfare, as well as, the tools that make the nation run.
Right.
But the world, for a guy that ran all of his businesses into bankruptcy, whose accountant was found guilty and was serving time in Rikers, and yet you still get these idiots who go, "What crimes did he do to you?" "Oh, that's not a crime. That's a..." Like, yes, it's 36 indictments.
Yep.
And they still don't understand.
Wasn't it like 34? It was 34 convictions, wasn't it? 34 convictions?
I've lost count. I don't care.
I just think it was 34 because I remember making the joke about how he's a man of conviction, 34 of them. So...
I don't know. I don't know what else to say. It's just ongoing disaster day after day, and I wonder, will it be that the question now of will a nutcase finally have had enough and take matters into their own hands, and we'll get a repeat. I guess you could say pose assassination attempt, but I just don't know. It boggles the mind. And the thing is if I'm getting exhausted by all this shit, I can't imagine what all the rest of you are feeling like. It must be utter dread waking up in the morning to face another day under this idiot.
It's horrible.
And I mean, and that's the thing. People will say, "Oh yeah, but you live up in Canada." It's like, yeah, but we're feeling the effects of it too. That's the thing.
Right.
Whether it be the tariffs, whether it be the high prices of gas, the forest fires, which we don't receive any help from the U.S. In combating, or that's just it. Every time you guys put out an SOS, Canadians come to your rescue. But every time Canadians say, "Oh, could you help out a little bit here or there?" and Trump is like, "Fuck you! I'm going to put more tariffs on you."
Right.
It's like, how are you supposed to take that?
Well, I mean, when people called the president of the United States the leader of the free world, it was because, any decisions, one of the reasons is because not just because we're the most powerful military in the world, but because when we take action, it has global effects. Like, when other world leaders take actions, it's much less likely to have the global effect that United States actions will do, especially on the part of the president. So that's why it's stupid to let somebody like Donald Trump to serve one term, let alone two, but here we are.
Yeah, but that's the thing. When you say leader of the free world, this is one of the things that gets me, because the thing is that you guys are supposed to be the global police, right? And the thing is that when there is an opportunity to step in, such as, let's say, Palestine and Gaza, where you could have simply put U.S. troops in there and said, you know what, this is going to be the line that you guys cannot cross, and, and we're going to distribute humanitarian aid, and, and this is going to happen. And the same thing with Ukraine. They could have said, you know what, we're going to create a no-fly zone. We're going to have U.S. jets flying this area, and, and say anything that crosses this line will be considered an act of war against the United States. And this shit went on, and nobody took the action that should have been necessary, because everybody's playing, I'm so afraid of the nuclear bombs that Vladimir Putin might or might not have. It's like, if you allow the bully to know that he's got your number and that he can say anything and you will back down, you're not a world superpower any longer.
Yep.
And I think that's the problem. I think the United States has forfeited that title of being the one and only superpower that was supposed to make sure that sanity prevailed worldwide. And, I used to defend actions of the United States. I can no longer do that, because everything is about either stuffing someone else's pockets due to war profiteering, or, taking advantage of a humanitarian crisis.
Yep.
And, charity begins at home, and you guys can't even fucking do that.
Nope.
We've
killed the charity. We've killed the help. And of course, Donald Trump runs on a no new war, no foreign wars. Trump runs on no new wars, no foreign wars, no foreign entanglements, and all the conservatives were like, yes, we want somebody who's not going to do foreign entanglements, who's going to make America great again, America first policy, whatever. That's why Marjorie Taylor Greene dumped his ass, because he went back and then he invaded Iran and does military actions in other places, and and then they try and fool their own listener, their own supporters. It's like, it wasn't a new war because Iran declared war on us by saying death to America 20 years ago or some shit. Again, bunch of stupid motherfuckers. Anyway, I did say 5 minutes per call, so anything else you want to end up with before we move on?
Well, I think it's time for, if the Democrats regain the White House, it's time to call Vladimir Putin's bluff and say, this shit will not continue, and this stupidity and this global terrorist action by Russia is no longer acceptable, and that, if you want, go back Ukraine and let them bomb every single one of your gas facilities, and you can watch your country come to an economic stop completely, because nobody will do anything with you, because you won't be able to distribute gasoline, you won't be able to distribute oil to other countries. All the money will stop, and if nobody's got a job, you know what? Your day has come. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Appreciate you. Let's talk to you Monday.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Right, later. Bye. Oh, I missed the hang up. Again, we will leave it open for a few more minutes if anybody else wants to call in. Otherwise, we'll end the show soon. Again, 562-LIBDAN1, 562-LIBDAN1, 562-542-3261. Hey, it's good to see that Darkly Yours and James both got gift memberships when I gave away the last 5 of the August gift memberships. So, not sure if I recognize the other 3 accounts, but hey, I like seeing when gifted memberships, regardless if they're my free ones or if they're my or if they're other ones that other people give. I like seeing when regular users get the free membership. So, but you're welcome, James. My pleasure. I mean, if I have this thing to give, I have the ability to give the memberships out. So why not? Why not use my 10 a month to benefit the listeners? I wish I could target it towards more to people who are watching it more regularly than others. Or I wish I could do it like, say, give it to this person, give it to this person, instead of having it be random. But, as old Trumpy boy says, I almost clicked the wrong button there too. I almost as old Trumpy boy says, which he doesn't say it at all. He would be like, if it's not Scottish, it's crap. Me trying to do Trump with a Scottish accent sounded a lot like a robot. So, that fucking thing, that image just has me just, oh my God. Like, I am just loving this image. This is just great. Just the anger, Trump as anger. I would have made it maybe a little bit more orange, a little less red, but you get the point, right? So that's just amazing. Maybe I'll have to use Meta AI more often, because Meta AI gave me 2 examples. The one question was, we can't do this because it's a real person, and the other option was, sure. I was like, I like that option better. I like the sure option better than the we not doing this for you option. Clearly, why wouldn't I? Trump troll anger, yeah. So, oh, and you're welcome, Santa. I wish it could have gone to you, since then people who I don't recognize. But again, maybe it'll get those people back in and starting to watch the show more frequently. So there you go. Ali Osho, Trump would say hot and smelly, but not dead country. Give it a few more minutes. Let's see if there's anything in googly newsies to be able to see if there's any other headlines we might want to look at, or if anything new, anything came out, any new information. That's not new. We covered that one. Oh, there's Donald Trump ordering a leak probe after venting about media coverage of munitions. Fucking idiot. Representative Angie Ogles loses his Republican primary in Tennessee. That's interesting. Let's see. Ogles lost despite having Donald Trump's endorsement. NBC News projects former state agriculture commissioner Charlie Hatcher will be the GOP nominee. Charlie Hatcher, the former state agriculture commissioner, wrote support from prominent establishment Republicans to a victory over Ogles, a controversial congressman backed by Trump. He is heavily favored in a general election in a deep red district. Ogles was outraised and outspent on the airwaves, largely because of massive effort from a pro-clean energy group. Last-minute campaign. Ogles criticized an interview with Fox News when Ogles had arguably the most important endorsement in a GOP primary. In Trump's, Hatcher had backing from Governor Bill Lee, former Governor Bill Haslam, and other prominent Republicans like Trump Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue. Ogles faced various controversies over the years. He said this year that Muslims don't belong in American society. Lovely. Deleted a homophobic social media post after having blamed a staffer. Argued last year that the federal government should revoke future New York Mayor Zoran Mamdani's citizenship and deport him. He's also investigated on a suspicion of campaign finance violations. He has not been charged with any crimes, obviously because Trump endorsed him. Think what President Trump could do if our congressman spent less time talking and more time doing, read a quote on Hatcher's website. Ogles is the 9th House member, 6 Democrats and 3 Republicans to lose a primary this year. That's the most in a non-decennial redistricting year since 1970. So there you go. Keg's Breath leaked each attack, and old Five Eyes now watches 4 watches every attack. It's not hard to figure out what's left. Exactly. Okay, it doesn't look like anybody's calling else, so we are going to go ahead and hangy-uppy the phone lines and put this volume back on, and I think we'll be done for the night. Thank you, everybody, for your continued support of Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right. If something big happens over the weekend, we'll make some sort of content about it. Whether or not it's live or not, we will see. Otherwise, we will be back here, same bat time, same bat channel, 8 p.m. Monday evening Central Time. Maybe earlier if Hal ends earlier. Again, if it looks like Hal is ending a show early and I can do it, I will start the show a little earlier than 8. Otherwise, it'll be 8 o'clock regardless. Or if he runs later than 8, I'll still start at 8 and then hope he raids me afterwards. So, anyway, Thank y'all so much. Good to see you, James. Thank you for coming. Good to see everybody else. We will end, as always, with a couple of songs as we go out. But thank y'all again. Have a great one. Peace.
This just in. A sudden spike in logic levels across the city. Citizens report seeing a man with glasses and a podcast mic. We go now live to Liberal Dan.
Who you gonna call when Nazi writings on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, cause you know we got a plan. The right wing talking shit, but he ain't about to quit. He'll take his proton pack and zap your logic cause it's whack. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall.
It's being reported that Liberal Dan is setting up what appears to be some sort of straw man containment field.
Calling out your lies with his mic, he'll vaporize. Cross the streams in your dreams, bitch, you know that he's too wise. You're like Slimer talking crap, but you walked into his trap. Yo, it's more than entertainment, it's misinformation containment. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. The Statue Liberty, the writing you can see. So bring the huddled masses, it's a war of the classes. While Trump may think he's Vigo, Dan can cut through that ego. He's got the facts to prove him wrong, got that logic like Egon. Your logic is a ghost, cause you know this chick is toast. When you follow MTG, it's conspiracy, you'll see. There's no need to taser, he's got wit like Occam's razor. Liberal Dan cuts those lies with his Jewish-based laser.
It's unbelievable. Liberal Dan just used the literal dog whistle to lure a large group of internet trolls into what is being called a self-collapsing rhetoric singularity. In all my years of reporting, I've never seen anything like this.
So don't call to be a heckler, you ain't no Judge Rexler. He'll bust you like Scolary, cause your logic's looking hairy. Right-wing callers think they're cool, but they sounding just like Zool. You the dog, he the man, and yo, his name is Liberal Dan. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. Liberal Dan, Liberal Dan, Liberal Dan.
Trump pile debt, trillions tall. Promised Mexico would fund that wall. Praise dictators, said they're strong. Had Joe done it, they'd say he's wrong. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd scream foul play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Goes through crises, storms, and more. Called soldiers losers who died in war. Hire his kids to run D.C. If it was Hunter, they'd scream treachery. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, full numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, Fox News would say I vague. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Love Kim Jong-un, he wrote love letters that take the guns first, lose those rights forever. Signed you spending bills with glee. Had Joe done that, it'd be tyranny. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, full numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they shall look today. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Kept secret files, countless untold. Said Putin's word was good as gold. Invited the Taliban to come to U.S. soil. If Joe had done that, they'd all recoil. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, full numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd want him to pay. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Double standards loud and clear. Rules for Trump, but not for peers. What they call treason if Joe's the name. patriotism when Donald's to blame. Had Biden done it, I don't flip. Had Biden done it, full numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd shout no way. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
Obama and Bush's pictures got hidden, obscuring the past, history rewritten. Hung in a hallway where no tour can see, confirming his unending fragility. If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. Object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, he must not exist. The testing was the line that he said. Hundreds of thousands needlessly dead. Now HHS is run by brainworm quack, hiding the truth behind his back. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. An administration run by narcissists. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Of documents stacked floor to the wall, top secret folders in a bathroom stall. Charges were pressed, but the case was dropped. A corrupt judicial system he can co-opt. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. He'll swear it's fake news, a liberal twist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Downtown tents lining the street. Invisible people that power won't need. Hide them away so the cameras can't find it. Proof of a system that's cold and unkind. A chaotic secret, an NDA sign, an illegal bribe. Michael Cohen fine. Trump got fined too over his gag order, but she didn't gag, cause he was much shorter. It must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. We